let's talk a little Masters. And before we dive into some of the bets that you've got with regards to some top tens, with regards to some outrights, how do you prepare for the Masters? Because it is one of those courses that, I mean, sometimes there are some tweaks made to it, but it's a course that you know what you're going to get. And I know that sometimes in golf you're able to use some historical data, sometimes you're not. I feel like with the Masters, among all tournaments, it is the best one for historical data in golf.
It is. That's a great point, Greg, because yeah, we know exactly what we're going to get. It's not like the US Open or the PGA Championship, or I guess the Open Championship for that matter as well, where it's a different course most years. Obviously, a lot of those events they'll go back to a course once every like 6, 7, or 8 years. But the Masters, same course every single year, which actually makes our job as handicappers quite a bit more easy because we don't need to do as big of a deep dive. I've been now betting on the Masters for what, 7, 8 years now. I know what to expect from Augusta National. That they did lengthen hole. I think it's the 15th. So they did make some slight changes, but not really anything that's going to change my handicapping process. This is a ball strikers course. It's guys who are going to be able to be accurate off the tee. You don't necessarily have to be long. You also have to have a great short game. But looking at past success at Augusta National is a huge indicator of success. That paired with recent form, paired with some approach numbers and some short game numbers, we know what we're looking for, and we know exactly where to look when preparing for the Masters. And my favorite nugget before we get into some picks here about the Masters is take a look at some left-handed golfers, because the way that Augusta National sets up is it's right-handed golfers have to hit what's called a draw. Left-handed golfers have to hit what's called a fade on the majority of holes. Well, it's a lot easier to hit a fade than it is to hit a draw. That's why we've seen a lot of, or at least a part of the reason why we've seen a lot of left-handed guys have success here. Bubba Watson, left-hander, won twice. Phil Mickelson won a few times. The only Canadian to ever win a major championship, Mike Weir, left-handed golfer. So take a look at some lefties this week. Maybe not to win, but maybe you want to look at some guys off the board to make the cut, top 20, something like that. A little bit of a fun fact for Augusta National, in my opinion, is that it shapes up well for left-handed golfers.
I think that that's such a good point that you bring up about taking a look at some lefties, something that maybe I would have never really thought about until you brought it up. So good points there. And when it comes to the Masters, you've got quite a bit of a just top-heavy group with regards to, I would say, the top 4, top 5. And then from there, you got a bunch of guys that from there, they go to like 25 to 30-ish to 1. That big three, it is Jon Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler. Among the guys at DraftKings, they're all at 7 to 1. And then from there, it's 18 to 1 or greater. Is there any of the guys that are really, we're going to call it 18 to 1 or less? So we're going to make the cutoff point Jordan Spieth here at 18 to 1 that you consider playing or you consider taking at, let's call it what it is, a little bit more of a short number for this event.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is kind of the way that the PGA Tour and golf has gone this season. Out of the three guys, Rory McIlroy is the most popular guy. He's a guy a lot of people are going to bet on, especially because Rory McIlroy has the added motivation that he can complete the career Grand Slam. He's won the other 3 majors. He's yet to win a Masters. He has a lot of close finishes. He came second last year. But I've fallen for that trap too many times in the past. I have no more desire to lose any more money betting on Rory McIlroy at the Masters. So, in my opinion, this golf season, especially at these elevated events, now this is a major, so this is always an elevated event, but these new, very strong field events that we're seeing on the PGA Tour season now is you have to bet on, in my opinion, either Jon Rahm or Scotty Scheffler. Pick your poison, choose one of the two, and you have to bet on them. I think it's near malpractice at this point because you look at the elevated events so far, 4 of the 6 have been won by Jon Rahm or Scotty Scheffler. It was 5 of the 6, and then Sam Burns won the WGC. But these guys are in contention. Scotty Scheffler was in the semifinal for the WGC. He almost won it back-to-back years. So I'm choosing Scotty Scheffler. I'm choosing the defending champ. I will be betting on him. I know it's a square bet. It's a chalky bet, but these are the kinds of bets that have been cashing in the big events on the PGA Tour this season. I mean, you look at his recent finishes. Dating all the way back to November of last year, T3, T9, second, T7, T11, win, T12, T4, win 4. So even if he's not winning, he's in contention on Sunday. This is a guy who it's hard to sink him because he doesn't make bogeys. He makes birdies at the right time. He does a lot of great things off the green. I think Scotty Scheffler has a real good chance to go back-to-back in the Masters.
And I know that you've got one that's a little bit further down the board, because I did mention that there's a big boat of guys that are in between. We're going to call it about 20 to 1 and 30 to 1. And I know that you've got one or two of them as well, but take me through your 60 to 1 shot and why you think that there's some good value here at a little bit of a longer number.
Yeah, so I'll rip them all off here really quick.
All right.
There's a couple of guys in the mid-range I do like, and I have a yearly tradition. I bet on Xander Schauffele to win the Masters. I've done it every year he's been in the Masters. I don't know why I'm addicted to bet him to win the Masters. He's a second-place finish. He has a third-place finish, but I actually think his game is trending in the right direction. His last three starts, T39, T19, then T5. So he's trended in the right direction. He has great approach play. He's been putting the ball very well. He struggled a little bit off the tee, but if he dials that in at Augusta, love Xander Schauffele. I think this is the perfect time to jump in on him. And another guy who's very similar to him, Jason Day. He's going to be a popular name this week. This is a guy who's having a career resurgence. Dating back to the start of 2023, the calendar year, he hasn't finished worse than T18. T18, T7, 5th place, T9, T10, T19, T5. This is another guy who's in contention week after week. Now, he hasn't had that win since coming back. So for him to have his first big win in the past few years to be a major championship, that's obviously a little bit of a stretch, but his game's there. He's been putting well. His iron play has been well. He's been driving the ball well. So I think Jason Day is a pretty good bet in that slot as well. And then my long shot is a guy who was a very popular golfer at the start of the season, and for good reason. But people have kind of forgot about him a little bit, and as a result, his odds have dipped. So I got him all the way down at 66 to 1, and that's the young South Korean Tom Kim. This is a guy who burst onto the scene last year, got 2 wins on the PGA Tour, and pretty respectable events late last year. And he got off to a very good start to the season this year, competed well. Like at the Century Tournament of Champions, he finished T5. The American Express, he finished T6. Now, he hasn't had great results as of late, but I actually think that makes him a pretty good buy low candidate, and a guy who I think might be able to contend here. He's a guy who has great iron play. He doesn't bogey a lot. He's very good in bogey avoidance. Now, his putter has let him down, but I have a general rule of thumb when betting on golfers in golf tournaments, and that's it's a lot better to bet on good ball strikers and hope they get hot with their putter than to bet on good putters and hope they get hot with their ball striking. So Tom Kim falls under that category. Obviously, first time playing Augusta is something that he's going to have to go up against. But at 66 to 1, the same price as Tiger Woods, I think that's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, the fact that he's on par with Tiger Woods, which it's nice to see Tiger Woods back out there on the links, but at this point of Tiger Woods' career, if we see him win another major, that would be something very, very historic, and that would be earth-shattering, to say the least.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.